you, do you want to be someone who has a great sob story to share around the table and get lots of sympathy from friends? Or do you want to be that person who takes things that other people think are hard, challenging, and complicated and get them done? Good morning, everybody. This is Amy with your weekly Worthy Mindset video, and I want to talk to you today about the power of the words coming out of your mouth. Do you guys understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I talk to you guys all the time about the power of our thoughts, the wheels that are spinning in our head all of the time. And a lot of times we don't verbalize them. So I really want to hone in on when we send it from our brain and we shoot it out into the world, into words, and the power of that and how we are solidifying those thoughts almost like in concrete, and how it's so important to become aware. So here's a really good example of that. When you're trying to describe a situation and you're using words like it's hard, it's challenging, it's complicated. Quitting sugar is really hard. This project at work is so challenging. I know, but my relationship with my mom is just so complicated. Every time we think these words and then we verbalize those words and then we repeat those words over and over and over again, we're really solidifying that neural pathway in our brain that believes that quitting sugar is in fact hard. And here's the hard truth. No, it's not. Quitting sugar is not hard. That project at work is not challenging, and that relationship with your mother is not complicated, because that is so subjective. That is not a fact. That is what you're thinking about the situation. And I understand, we talked about this before. You might have mountains and mountains of evidence of how hard and challenging and complicated that these situations are, but it will not stand up in a court of law, because you can't convince 12 completely different people of the exact same thing. And that is what the difference is between your circumstances and the facts and the thoughts and the words coming out of your mouth. So the more you repeat, this is hard, this is challenging, and this is complicated, and all those other descriptive words, guess what you're doing? You're just making things harder and more challenging and more complicated. You are doing an ace-up job at convincing your brain that it is in fact those things. And when people say, well, changing my thoughts is really hard, Amy, no, it's not. It takes practice and repetition. Realize every time you tell your story and you talk about hard and challenging and complicated, you are practicing and you are repeating. You're practicing right now. You're just practicing what's not going to serve you, what's not going to help you. Start practicing what is going to serve you and what is going to help you. And it may fumble a little bit, and that's okay. You might stumble and fall down because your brain's used to the old thought pattern, but every time you tell your story, every time you verbalize it, you're not only thinking it, but you're sending it through the receptors in your brain to shoot it out through your mouth, and then your brain is hearing it in the ear, and it's literally like just chiseling it even harder into stone. And here's why I think we do that, because it makes for a good story. Nobody wants to hear how easy life is. Everybody wants to gather around the table and go, oh, you think that's hard? Wait till you hear about and blank, 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 blank. How many times does that happen? It happens all the time. We're always trying to one-up each other on the complications and difficulties in our life. Everybody loves a good sob story, and then everybody go, oh, you're right. You win the worst tale around the table. Does that really make you feel better knowing that you've got the worst story amongst all your friends? No, it doesn't make you feel better. But here's one thing it does do. It requires you to not have to change. And when everybody verifies how challenging and hard that story is, we don't want to let go of it. It becomes part of who we are. So I ask you, do you want to be someone who has a great sob story to share around the table and get lots of sympathy from friends? Or do you want to be that person who takes things that other people think are hard, challenging, and complicated and get them done? And you can become that person first by becoming aware of those words as they're coming out of your mouth. And as you hear them, being able to stop and say, oh, but what if that's not true? I've actually done this in conversation where I have said, it's just really hard. You want to know what? It's not hard. I'm sorry. It's really not hard. I just keep saying that, and it's not hard at all. It kind of freaks people out when you do that, because they're not expecting you to do that. They're waiting for your sob story, because that's the kind of thing that we do around here, right? And then when you're aware, you can replace that phrase with something that your brain can believe and is actually going to serve you. Quitting sugar is the best thing for my body, and I'm getting better at it every day. I am learning how to be better at my job, and I keep putting one step forward. I really love my mom, and I'm learning to understand her. Those words aren't magic, and they don't make a sexy sob story, but you want to know what? They are words that your brain can believe and will actually serve you and get you what you really want. So be prepared, because the next time I hear those words coming out of your mouth, I might be like, zip it. What's the better thing to say here? I really hope you guys found this encouraging today and just really understanding that not only do your thoughts have intense power, but especially the words that are coming out of your mouth, and just tune in and voice who you really want to be and what you really want to be, and let those words come true. And everybody, on Wednesday, I'm releasing my new Basics of Self-Care ebook for everybody that is on this list right here. Please be sure that you are signed up and you will get your copy on Wednesday. And I love you all so much. And for everybody out there celebrating, happy Memorial Day, and thank you to all the men and women who have served our country so bravely and valiantly. I love you all, guys, and I will see you here next week.